श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् स्वगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्य श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय भगवते वासुदेवाय वासुदेवाय सर्वशास्त्रार्थ पीयूष सर्ववेदैक सत्फला सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैक तत्प्रद सर्वभागवत पुराण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिध्वांतो रितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वदेव्याय श्रीकृष्ण नमस्तु मे मदेक बंधो मत्संगी मद्गुरो मन्महाधन मत्स्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमस्ते असाधु साधुपादाय नति चोर्चता कर हानमुंच कदाचि मास्पुर ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। All right, now let me read the translation, the shloka and translation. Text 2. सचापि भगवद्धर्मात् काममूढ पराङ्मुखः यजते क्रतुभिर्देवान् पितॄंश्च श्रद्धयान्वितः. Such persons are ever bereft of devotional service due to being too attached to sense gratification, and therefore, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers, they are not interested in Krishna consciousness or devotional service. विहितकृदपि असौ निन्द्य एव अधिकारी नित्याः स चापि इति. So even though he executes the prescribed injunctions of the Vedas to carry out various duties of karma, because he is not a devotee of the Lord with the desire to attain everlasting service to the Supreme Lord. He is not a devotee of the Lord. So such souls who are eligible to participate in Vedic culture are still criticized. They're meant to be criticized. They are objects of Lord Kapila's criticism. Okay. In Bhagavad Gita 7.20, it is said that persons who worship demigods have lost their intelligence. Rama says, Vritagyana. They are very much attracted to sense gratification and therefore they worship the demigods. It is, of course, recommended in the Vedic scriptures that if one wants money, health, or education, then he should worship the various demigods. A materialistic person has manifold demands, and thus there are manifold demigods to satisfy his senses. See, this explains why there are several demigods. The entire arrangement is to deal with the demands of materialistic souls who accept Vedic authority. So therefore, the Lord has arranged for manifold demigods. The Grihamedis who want to continue a prosperous materialistic way of life. The Grihamedi is just a Sakama Karmi, not a sinful person, but is certainly an object of Lord Kapila's criticism. The Grihamedis who want to continue a prosperous materialistic way of life generally worship the demigods or the forefathers by offering pinda or respectful oblations. Such persons are bereft of Krishna consciousness and are not interested in devotional service to the Lord. This kind of so-called pious and religious man is the result of impersonalism. The impersonalists maintain that the supreme absolute truth has no form and that one can imagine any form he likes for his benefit and worship in that way. Therefore, the Grahamedis or materialistic men say that they can worship any form of a demigod as worship of the Supreme Lord. especially amongst the Hindus, those who are meat eaters prefer to worship the goddess Kali because it is prescribed that one can sacrifice a goat before that goddess. They maintain that whether one worships the goddess Kali or the supreme personality of goddess Vishnu or any demigod, the destination is the same. This is first class rascaldom, and such people are misled, but they prefer this philosophy. Bhagavad Gita does not accept such rascaldom. It is clearly stated that such methods are meant for persons who have lost their intelligence. Kama says there, Hritagyana, Prapadyante, Anyadevata. The same judgment is confirmed here. And the word Kama Mudha, meaning one who has lost his sense or is infatuated by the lust of attraction for sense gratification, is used. Kama Mudhas are bereft of Krishna consciousness and devotional service and are infatuated by a strong desire for sense gratification. Now, note one thing here that Lord Kapila, uh, he condemns those who are engaged in various forms of worship for the devas and pitris. This is certainly some food for thought. He is criticizing those who are averse to Bhagavad Dharma or Bhagavata Dharma, and uh, these people are engaged in various sacrificial ceremonies with respect, with faith, Shraddhaya, with respectful faith towards the Devas and Pitris. So, if Lord Kapila, according to his opinion, if Lord Vishnu is actually ultimately identical with the Devas, Pitris, and so on, then why would he criticize these people by saying these are Kama Mudras, just like Lord Krishna? The worshippers of demigods are condemned both in Bhagavad Gita and in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, let's move on. 3. Tat Shraddhaya Krantamati Pitradeva Vratahman Gatva Chandramasam Lokam Somapah Punareshyati. Such materialistic persons attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods can be elevated to the moon, where they drink an extract of the Soma plant. They again return to this planet. Somapas tatra somam pitva punareshyati punaradah patishyati. They will again fall down from moon. Prabhupada uses the word planet often to refer to a graha. A graha is a heavenly body that has an influence on human affairs. So therefore Prabhupada refers to the moon as a planet, the sun as a planet, because they're all part of the Navagrahas. The moon is considered one of the planets of the heavenly kingdom. One can be promoted to this planet by executing different sacrifices recommended in the Vedic literature, such as pious activities in worshipping the demigods and forefathers with rigidity and vows. But one cannot remain there for a very long time. Life on the moon is said to last 10,000 years according to the calculation of the demigods. The demigods' time is calculated in such a way that one day, 12 hours, is equal to 6 months on this planet. It is not possible to reach the moon by any material vehicle like a Sputnik, but persons who are attracted by material enjoyment can go to the moon by pious activities. In spite of being promoted to the moon, however, one has to come back to this earth again when the merits of his works and sacrifice are finished. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.21. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine punye madhyalokam vishyanti. In one lecture that Prabhupada gives earlier, I think 1965 or 66, he's talking about this moon and the residents of the moon. And he says, the moon is a very cold place, he says. It is a very cold place. And he says, just like in the European countries and in the cold hemisphere of this planet itself, people in the cold places, they drink a lot. So Prabhupada says that in moon also, they drink a lot. They drink soma. a certain intoxicant. And because it's such a cold place, it is natural for them to drink so much. 4. Yada चाहीन्द्रशय्यायां शेतेनन्तासनो हरिः तदा लोकालयं यान्ति त एते गृहमेथिनाः. All the planets of the materialistic persons, including all the heavenly planets such as the moon, are vanquished when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Ananta Shesha. तेषाम् अधः पातस्य का वार्ता तेषां प्राप्य लोका अपि ब्रह्मणः प्रतिदिनम् अधः पतन्ति. What to speak of these Sakamakarmis, these Grahamedis falling down from the moon. Even their destinations, whatever it may be the moon, or if they perform more pious activities, they may go even up to Swarga, whatever. Every day, these planets themselves fall down. They get destroyed. That is noted here. Yada cha aharaha pralaye. Every day, at the time of pralaya, dissolution, the materially attached are very eager to promote themselves with the heavenly planets such as the moon. There are many heavenly planets to which they aspire just to achieve more and more material happiness by getting a long duration of life and the paraphernalia for sense enjoyment. But the attached persons do not know that even if one goes to the highest planet, Brahmaloka, destruction exists there also. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that one can even go to the Brahmaloka, but still he will find the pangs of birth, death, disease, and old age. Only by approaching the Lord's abode, the Vaikuntha Loka, one does not take birth again in this material world. The Grahmedis or materialistic persons, however, do not like to use this advantage. They would prefer to transmigrate perpetually from one body to another or from one planet to another. They do not want the eternal blissful life and knowledge in the kingdom of God, because there you'll have to surrender to God. They do not want to surrender to God. There are two kinds of dissolutions. One dissolution takes place at the end of the life of Brahma. At that time, all the planetary systems, including the heavenly systems, are dissolved in water and enter into the body of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who lies on the Garbhodaka ocean on the bed of serpents called Shesha. In the other dissolution, which occurs at the end of Brahma's day, all the lower planetary systems are destroyed. When Lord Brahma rises after this night, these lower planetary systems are again created. The statement in Bhagavad Gita that persons who worship the demigods have lost their intelligence is confirmed in this verse. These less intelligent persons do not know that even if they are promoted to the heavenly planets at the time of dissolution, they themselves, the demigods, and all their planets will be annihilated. They have no information that eternal blissful life can be attained. 5 and 6 is a cluster. ये स्वधर्मान् दुह्यन्ति धीराः कामार्थहेतवे निस्सङ्गा निस्तकर्माणः प्रशान्ता शुद्धचेतसः. 6. निवृत्ति धर्म निरता निर्ममा निरहंकृता स्वधर्माप्तेन सत्वेन परिशुद्धेन चेतसा. What is this? It is still continuing. 7. सूर्यद्वारेण ते यान्ति पुरुषं विश्वतो मुखं परावरेशं प्रकृतिम अस्योत्पद्यन्त भावनम. Those who are intelligent and are of purified consciousness are completely satisfied in Krishna consciousness, freed from the modes of material nature. They do not act for sense gratification. Rather, since they are situated in their own occupational duties, they act as one is expected to act. By executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment and without a sense of proprietorship or false egoism, one is posted in one's constitutional position by dint of complete purification of consciousness and by thus executing so-called material duties can easily enter into the kingdom of God. Through the path of illumination, such liberated persons approach the complete personality of God, who is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds and is the supreme cause of their manifestation and dissolution. Okay, let's get back to this. सकामकर्मणां पुनः पुनः आवृत्तिम् उक्त्वा निष्कामकर्मणां पुनरानावृत्तिम् आह ये इति. Having pointed out that the sakama karmas, the griha medhis, repeatedly come back, he now points out that the nishkama karmas, the grihasthas, they do not come back. Na duhyanti, na dunanti, na dharmapalam swargadikam ichanti ityartha. They do not take advantage of their own occupational duties. That means they do not engage in their occupational duties. They do not engage in their occupational duties with a desire to attain the material benefits that can come from performing those material duties, such as attaining swarga, the sangha. They are free from material attachment. न्यस्त कर्माणः ईश्वरार्पित कर्म फलाः न्यस्त कर्माणः. They've given up fruitive activities. They've given up fruitive activities means that they have given up the results of their material activities to the Supreme Lord. Let me read this book. I thought there's some question here. Okay.
So here lower planets means all the lower planets like Patal, all the 6 planets.
Where are the lower planets?
The fourth sloka it is mentioned all the lower planets in another dissolution. They will destroy.
Where in the fourth verse it's described lower planets?
The
Just
second
explain.
paragraph.
No, in the verse there's only one paragraph.
In the fourth sloka, bro.
Fourth sloka. Yeah. Where? All the planets of the materialistic persons.
Purpose, sorry, for purpose.
Oh, okay. In the other dissolution, which occurs at the end of Brahmastra, all the lower planetary systems are destroyed. The lower planetary systems refer to the ones other than the top three. Top four, sorry, top four. Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. Other than those four.
And Prabhu, when
Lower, they're lower than Brahma's world.
yeah, when it is said the higher planets also destroy, but in the higher planets when they are situated, they also practice they are having the opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness and go back to Godhead, right?
Who
Those who are staying there.
no, you have to specify staying where,
In the higher planets,
which higher planets.
it's a heavenly planets.
Bhurbhuvasva. You're talking of Bhurvasva.
No, higher planets means here it only uh, seems
See,
heavenly.
I'll tell you why there is confusion.
Uh,
There are there are seven up and there are seven down. In the
yeah.
seven up, there is three plus four. The four are the top four.
Hmm.
Brahmaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, Satyaloka. Top four. Top four are very different in nature. The top four are not destroyed uh, every day of Brahma, but they experience some influence. I think in the lowest one they feel the heat, and so they have to go up. But the one lower than that, Swarga, Swarloka, Bhuvarloka, Bhuloka, uh, and then it includes the Patalas, seven Patalas. All of them are destroyed. So, what is your question?
So now that four planets, when annihilation happened, they also destroy, but they are also getting
No,
the chance
no,
to
no, no,
practice.
no, 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 no. The top four are not actually destroyed. The top four are not actually destroyed. They feel the
In any
impact of it, but
dissolution.
the final dissolution you're talking of
Yeah,
at the end of Brahma's life,
yeah,
that everything is destroyed. Satyaloka is also destroyed.
yeah. But
Okay.
they that time they will not go back to Godhead. Means in those planets they are getting the opportunity to do bhakti, right?
The opportunity to do bhakti is everywhere.
Okay, before the
So
dissolution, if they practice, then they will reach the higher abode of the God.
one who's fully surrendered to Lord Vishnu will attain the Lord's abode immediately at the end of one life. Those who are making gradual progress, they have their own process, gradual progress. They have their own method. So when Brahma is liberated, they will get liberated.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Mm. The first class example of this type of man is Arjuna. Arjuna was a Kshatriya and his occupation duty was to fight. Generally, kings fight to extend their kingdom, which they rule for sense gratification. But as far as Arjuna is concerned, he declined to fight for his own sense gratification. He said that although he could get a kingdom by fighting with his relatives, he did not want to fight with them. But when he was ordered by Krishna and was convinced by the teachings of Bhagavad Gita that his duty was to satisfy Krishna, then he fought. Thus, he fought not for his sense gratification, but for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of God. Persons who work at their prescribed duties, not for sense gratification, but for gratification of the Supreme Lord, are called and freed from the influence of the modes of material nature. Nishtakarmana indicates that the results of their activities are given to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such persons appear to be acting on the platform of their respective duties, but such activities are not performed for personal sense gratification. Rather, they are performed for the Supreme Person. Such devotees are called prashantaha, which means completely satisfied. Shuddha chetasaha means Krishna conscious. Their consciousness has become purified. In unpurified consciousness, one thinks of himself as the Lord of the universe. But in purified consciousness, one thinks himself the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Putting oneself in that position of eternal servitorship to the Supreme Lord and working for him perpetually, one actually becomes completely satisfied. As long as one works for his personal sense gratification, he'll be full of anxiety. That is the difference between ordinary consciousness and Krishna consciousness. Then sixth purport. Here the word nivritti dharma nirataha means constantly engaging and executing religious activities for detachment. Nivritti dharma nirataha, constantly engaged in religious activities for detachment. By executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment. There are two kinds of religious performances. One is called pravritti dharma, which means religious activities performed by the grihametis for elevation to higher planets or for economic prosperity, the final aim of which is sense gratification. So these are the sakama karmis. Prabhupada keeps referring to the sakama karmis as grihametis. Every one of us who has come to this material world has the sense of overlordship. This is called pravritti. But the opposite type of religious performance, which is called nivritti, is to act for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Engaged in devotion, service, and Krishna consciousness, one has no proprietorship claim. That means one has no claim for proprietorship. Nor is one situated in the false ego of thinking that he is God or the master. He always thinks himself as a servant. That is the process of purifying consciousness. With pure consciousness only can one enter into the kingdom of God. Materialistic persons in their elevated condition can enter any one of the planets within this material world. We are talking of pious materialistic persons. But all are subjected to dissolution over and over again. Then purport to text. Okay, before we come to purport to text 7, Sarah Dashini. ज्ञानं प्राप्य विश्वतोमुखं परिपूर्णं पुरुषं यान्ति प्राप्नुवन्ति मुक्ताः भवन्ति इत्यर्थः. Having attained spiritual realization, they attain that Purusha whose face is turned everywhere, who is all pervading. In other words, they become liberated. Tatha cha Shruti. And there is a statement in the Shruti. Surya dvarena te virajah prayanti tatra amrita purusho hya vyaya atma iti. They pass through Surya, which means the path of illumination, become free from passion. And then there, in that status, that person becomes Amrita, Avyayatma. There's another way to interpret this Shruti statement. It can be taken to mean that after having become freed from passion, having crossed through Surya, they reach that place where there is the immortal person, the inexhaustible soul. Asya jagatah prakritim upadana karanam utpatyantam bhavanam nimitta karanam cha. And this Supreme Lord himself is the upadana karana as well as the nimitta karana. He is himself the ingredient cause as well as the efficient cause. The word Surya Dvarena means by the illuminated path or through the sun planet. The illuminated path is devotion service. It is advised in the Vedas not to pass through the darkness but to pass through the sun planet. It is also recommended here that by traversing the illuminated path, one can be freed from the contamination of the material modes of nature. By that path, one can enter into the kingdom where the completely perfect personality of Godhead resides. The words Purusham Vishwatomukam mean the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is all perfect. Vishwatomukham, all perfect. All living entities other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead are very small, although they may be big by our calculation. Everyone is infinitesimal. And therefore, in the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is called the Supreme Eternal amongst all eternals. He is a proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds and supreme cause of manifestation. Material nature is only the ingredient because actually the manifestation is caused by his energy. The material energy is also his energy. Just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of childbirth, so the combination of the material energy and the glands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause is therefore not matter, but the Lord himself. But wait, let me just quickly check why Prabhupada is translating text 8 like this. Let me see what the Siddhanta Saraswati goes on. Why are what? Oh. Suryadvarena, Savitra Rashmina. Oh, they travel through the rays of the sun. Oh, now I remember. It comes in Vedanta Sutra discussions also. Vishwato Mukham, Sarvato Vyaptam Paripurnam. They attain uh, the Supreme Purusha, who is all pervading and who is completely perfect. Paravaresham, Pare, Brahma Adeha, Avare, Manushya Adi Jivaha, Tesham. They attain the Lord of the high and the low, which means the high refers to Brahma and others. The low refers to human beings and other jivas. So the Supreme Lord is the Lord of both the superhuman species and the human and subhuman species. अस्य विश्वस्य प्रकृति उपादान कारण उत्पत्त्यंत भावनम निमित्त कारण च पुरुषम यान्ति प्राप्नुवन्ति प्रकृति उपादान एवं निमित्त कारण स्वरूप पुरुषावतार के प्राप्त होने they attain the Purushavatara. Okay. Then 8. द्विपरार्थावसाने यः प्रलयो ब्रह्मणस्तु ते तावद् अध्यासते लोकं परस्य परचिन्तकाः. Worshippers of the Hiranyagarbha expansion of the personality of God remain within this material world until the end of two pararthas, when Lord Brahma also dies. Brahma Parameshwarasya Gunavatarah एव इति परमेश्वर दृष्टिया हिरण्यगर्भ उपासकानाम् अपि क्रमेण भक्ति. What is this? क्रमेण भक्ति मिश्र ज्ञानेन. What is what? भक्ति मिश्र ज्ञानेन ब्रह्मणा सह मुक्तिर्भवेदेव. Those who worship Hiranyagarbha or Brahma, while considering him to be a representative of the Supreme Lord, because Brahma is a Gunavatara of the Supreme Lord, such persons certainly attain liberation along with Lord Brahma through Bhakti Mishra Jnana. Brahmana sahate sarve samprapte pratisanchare parasyante kritat parasyante paratmana pravishanti parampadam iti shrute. Because of the scriptural statement, because we hear of the scriptural statement that at the end of dissolution, no, when dissolution has arrived, final dissolution arrives, along with Brahma, these people, these souls, they enter the supreme abode of the supreme super soul. This is at the end of the spiritual pursuit, ante. Otherwise, parasyante can mean at the end of two dvipararthas. ये तो केवलं हिरण्यगर्भ उपासकाः तेषां ब्रह्मणः मुक्तौ अपि न मुक्तिरित्याह. And those who simply worship Hiranyagarbha or Brahma, but not as a representative of Lord Vishnu, for them, even when Brahma is liberated, they do not attain liberation. This is stated in 3 verses beginning with the current verse, text 8. Lokam, Satyalokam, Parasya Brahmanah, Parichintakaha, Vairaja Dhyanaparaha. Here the world that is referred to here as Brahma's world is Satyaloka. And this is a reference to those who are thinking about the Supreme Brahman, the ones absorbed in the meditation on Virat Purusha, the universal form. One dissolution is at the end of Brahma's day, and one is at the end of Brahma's life. Brahma dies at the end of two pararasas, at which time the entire material universe is dissolved. Persons who are worshippers of Hiranyagarbha, the primary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Udakshay Vishnu, do not directly approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vaikuntha. They remain within this universe on Satyaloka or other higher planets until the end of the life of Brahma. Then with Brahma, they are elevated to the spiritual kingdom. The words Parasya Parachintakaha means always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or being always Krishna conscious. When we speak of Krishna, this refers to the complete category of Vishnu Tattva. Krishna includes the three Purusha incarnations, namely Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu, as well as all the incarnations taken together. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Okay, what is the question?
Oh, who is this worshippers of Hiranyagarbha?
They are the ones who engage in yoga and meditate on the universal form. We saw in the beginning of second canto. They have a process. They are the ones.
Okay, and why they will be sent to the higher planets, then again to the spiritual world? Why not directly?
If you want to go directly, you need to surrender. So all of these processes will prepare one to surrender. So when they come to Satyaloka, then they're ready to surrender to Lord Vishnu. So theirs is a slow program. Bahunam
But
Janmanam Ante Gyanavan. This is that.
but they are also not supposed to enter into the spiritual world, right?
Who?
Those who are
Who?
meditating, the worshippers
No,
of
those who are
Hiranyagarbha.
engaged in those who engage in meditation of Hiranyagarbha as the representative of Lord Vishnu, they are worshipping Brahma as a representative of Vishnu, as a servant of Vishnu. So at the right time, when Brahma is liberated, they will also attain liberation.
But their realization is limited to only Paramatma realization.
No, they are upgraded. By the time they come to Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, they are trained in Bhakti Yoga.
So in this category, this Jnani Yogis also comes.
Which Jnana Yogis? The Jnana Yogis who uh, progress all the way to Brahmaloka.
Uh, no, as we say that Jnana Yogas, they get impersonal liberation.
If they are also going through the slow pathway, then that's possible. That possibility is there. But if they surrender unto Lord Vishnu in order to attain Brahman realization, uh, then they get it faster.
Okay, okay.
Okay. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishthan. Lord Krishna is perpetually situated with his many expansions such as Rama, Narasimha, Vamana, Madhusudana, Vishnu, and Narayana. He exists with all his memory portions and the portions of his memory portions, and each of them is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words Parasya Parachintakaha mean Those who are fully Krishna conscious, such persons enter directly into the kingdom of God, the Vaikuntha planets, or if they are worshippers of the plenary portion, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, they remain within this universe until its dissolution. After that, they 9. Shmambho nala nila viyan mana indriyarth bhutadibhi parivratam pratisanjihirshu avyakritam vishati yarhi gunatrayatma kalam parakyamanubhuya parasvayam bhu. After experiencing the inhabitable time of the three modes of material nature known as two pararthas, Lord Brahma closes the material universe, which is covered by layers of earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, ego, etc., and goes back to Godhead. Tatascha Mahapralaye Sati Tatascha Mahapralaye Sati Brahma Michyate. So at the time of the great dissolution, that means the final dissolution, Brahma is liberated. That is pointed out in the current verse. Kshmadibhi parivratam swadeham vairajam pratisanjihirshuhu tyaktumichuhu. Now this entire universe with its universal coverings is the body of Lord Brahma. So his body is covered by all of these elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, the senses, the objects of the senses, false ego, and so on. So when Brahma wants to give up all of this, then this happens. Avyakritam Parameshwaram Prakriti Yaminam Vishati. He enters into the Supreme Lord, who is the inner ruler of Prakriti. Gunatrayatma, Rajoguna Upadhikopi, Trigunaha, Parakhyam, Viparartha Lakshanam Kalam Gyatva. He is Gunatrayatma. His very body consists of the three modes of material nature. Very interesting. So after experiencing two parardhas worth of time, then Lord Brahma, he attains liberation. Let me also read the Anvaya here. Parakyam. Dviparartha Lakshanam Kalam Anubhuya. After experiencing the greatest duration of time, which is characterized as two parardhas or two into half of Brahma's life. Half of Brahma's life is 1 unit of time. So 2 units of that means 1 complete life of Brahma. Having experienced that amount of time, tavat samayaparyantam nijadhikaram nirvahya. Having carried out his official duties up to that much amount of time, Kshma, Ambho, Anala, Nila, Viyan, Mana, Indriya, Artha, Bhuta, Adibhi. Shma, Prithvi. Shma refers to earth. Ambha refers to water. Ambhas. Analaha refers to fire. Anilaha Vayu. Anila refers to air. Viyat Akashaha. Viyat refers to the sky or ether. Etani Pancha Mahabhutani. These are the 5 gross elements. Manaha Indriyani Arthaha Cha Shabda Adeyaha Bhutadihi Cha Ahankare Evam Adibhihi. Then on top of it, you have the mind, you have the senses, you have the sense objects: sound, touch, form, taste, smell. And then you have the beginning of the bhutas or elements, which refers to ahankara and so on. Parivratam yuktam brahmandam pratisanjihirshuhu pratisamhartumichuhu san. So when Brahma wants to dissolve his body, which is the Brahmanda, which consists of all of this, यर्हि गुणत्रयात्मा त्रिगुणात्मकः प्रपंच अभिमानी. And Brahma is further described as Gunatrayatma. The three modes of material nature constitute prapancha or material or the material world. And Brahma is the presiding deity of the material world, is the presiding deity of the entire universe. So he is the Atma of the three modes of material nature within one universe. Paraha, Indradibhyaha Utkrishtaha. The word Paraha, the chief. Here we see the word chief. This indicates that he is superior to Indra and the other souls occupying specific celestial posts. Swayambhu, Hiranyagarbha Brahma. Swayambhu refers to Hiranyagarbha or Brahma, Avyakritam, Sarva Vikara Shunyam Ishwaram, Vishati, Pravishati, Mukto Bhavati. So this Swayambhu, he enters into Avyakrita. Avyakrita here refers to the Supreme Lord, who is devoid of all degrading transformations. In other words, he enters into the spiritual sky. He becomes liberated. Okay. So what Avyakritam is very significant in this verse. The same meaning is stated in Bhagavad Gita in the word Sanatana. The material world is Vyakrita or subject to changes. And it finally dissolves. But after the dissolution of this material world, the manifestation of the spiritual world, the Sanatan Dham remains. That spiritual sky is called a Vyakrita, that which does not change. And there the Supreme Personality of God resides. When after ruling over the material universe under the influence of the time element, Lord Brahma decides to dissolve it and enter into the kingdom of God, others then enter with him. Question.
Prabhu, when you were when there was so much description for so much, and you said intoxicating beverage. So, can pious people engage in drinking that somras if someone will question that it's prohibited here?
If they are allowed in sacrifices, yes.
So, in higher planets, it is allowed for them. It's not a sin for them to have somras.
Yeah.
So same thing which is prohibited there may not be prohibited, and other regions may not be sin for their other.
Lower regions. Correct. Yes.
But it's higher planet too. It's not lower planet.
No. What is allowed in a higher planet may be prohibited in a lower planet.
Okay. So what is sin for us may not be sin for them.
Yes.
But this is like the rules of the game are changing then.
No, the rules of the game are open for everyone. You also go there. Who's stopping you?
But we say that scriptures term in absolute sense, talk in absolute sense. So
Yes, they are talking in absolute sense. There are particular regions of the universe where there are particular allowances and prohibitions.
Okay, bro.
Dharmatma Prabhu.
I just wanted to make a comment on that. That Achyutanam told the rules of the game is changing. It's just simple. For example, if you take a proper literal game in this world, when we are playing in a street, the rules is different. When one plays on the international level, the rules is different. They can't break the rules when one is playing on a street level. So it's the same thing. For different levels, different rules are there. It's not changing.
Anyway, those who know sports and all that, they can understand this. I don't understand it. I'm very happy to understand things my way. Okay, let's move on. Text 10. एवं परित्य भगवन्तमनुप्रविष्टा ये योगिनो जितमरुन् मनसो विरागा तेनैव साकममृतं पुरुषं पुराणं ब्रह्म प्रधानमुपयान्त्यगताभिमाना. The yogis who become detached from the material world by practice of breathing exercises and control of the mind reach the planet of Brahma, which is far, far away. After giving up their bodies, they enter into the body of Lord Brahma, and therefore, when Brahma is liberated and goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Brahman, such yogis can also enter into the kingdom of God. Sarartha Darshini. एवं ब्रह्मणः मुक्तौ अपि तत् उपासकाः भक्ति अभावान् न मुच्यन्ते इत्याह. He has interpreted this verse differently. Yes, very interesting. He says this verse, in this verse, Lord Kapila says that when even when Brahma is liberated, those who worship Lord Brahma are not liberated because do not have bhakti. That means they do not have Vishnu bhakti. Okay, let's see this. Now, why is it Pareta? Okay, wait. Paretya. Brahmaloka eva. Paretya. Paretya. Brahmaloka eva deham tyaktva. Bhagavantam brahmanam anupravishtaha ye yoginaha te tena eva brahmana eva sakam Puranam Purusham Parameshwaram Pradhanam Utkrishtam Brahma Upayanti Pravishanti Agata Abhimana Vayam Hiranyagarbha Upasakaha Iti Abhimanavantaha Tena Parameshware Tesham Atyantikaha Na Layaha Kintu Prakritika Eveti Tena Punarjagat Sarge Tesham Api Sargaha Bhavati Iti Bhavaha. So, having gone such a long distance and having given up their body, this is the final body, the last body in Brahmaloka, they enter into the supreme, the chief being Brahma, Bhagavan Brahma. And then, along with him, along with that Brahma, they enter into the Supreme Lord, who is in fact the Supreme Brahman. And those whose false ego has not gone, Agata Abhimanaha, that we are the great worshippers of Hiranyagarbha. For them, this is not the final breakup with material existence. They just have a temporary break. And therefore, Punar Jagat Sarge, Tesham Api Sarga Bhavi. Therefore, at the time of the next creation, again they have to come back. That is implied here. By perfecting their yogic practice, yogis can reach the highest planet, Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. And after giving up their material bodies, they can enter into the body of Lord Brahma. Because they are not directly devotees of the Lord, they cannot get liberation directly. They have to wait until Brahma is liberated, and only then, along with Brahma, are they also liberated. It's clear that as long as a living entity is a worshipper of a particular demigod, his consciousness is absorbed in thoughts of that demigod. And therefore, he cannot get direct liberation or entrance into the kingdom of God, nor can he merge into the personal effulgence of the Supreme Personality of God. Such yogis or demigod worshippers are subjected to the chance of taking birth again when there is again creation. 11. अथ तम सर्वभूतानां हृत्पद्मेषु कृतालयं Shutanubhavam sharanam vraja bhavena bhamini. Therefore, my dear mother, by devotion service, take direct shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart. Atheti. Yasmad bhaktim vina nakopi nistaranti atah tvam tammeva bhagavantam sharanam vraja. Because without bhakti to the Supreme Lord, nobody is liberated, is delivered. You should surrender unto that very Bhagavan. Hey, Bhavini. He reads Bhavini. Bhavini is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's reading also. Hey, Bhavini, Bhagavad Bhakti Shalini Mata. We have Bhavini. Okay. हे भाविनी मयि परमेश्वरे पुत्र भाववतीति त्वयि भक्ति उपदेशः पिष्टपेश रूप एवेति भाव. He Bhavini indicates that Lord Kapila recognizes Mother Devahuti to be possessing bhava, ecstatic devotion to Lord Kapila, who is himself the Supreme Lord, by considering him as her son. So this very word indicates, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that instructing her on bhakti is not required. It is not required at all. Question.
Prabhu, this question is from verse number 4. But
What?
From purport to verse 4, Prabhu.
Verse
I'm sorry.
4.
Prabhupada is writing that these materialistic people do not like to take this advantage. They prefer to transmigrate perpetually. So reason is not given why they don't like.
That reason is given elsewhere. They don't want to surrender to Lord Vishnu. They are happy about material life. The Brahmadis or materialistic persons, however, do not like to use this advantage. They're materialistic. That itself implies the reason why they're not, the reason for not wanting to use this advantage.
It's difficult for them to process this piece of information that on one hand I am transmigrating perpetually, on other hand there is eternal kingdom.
On one hand, I'm transmigrating perpetually. On the other hand,
there is eternal kingdom. I can choose the better one. They cannot understand this fact.
Anyone in Tamoguna, Rajoguna is not, first of all, interested in information about reality. That is why it is said, Kama says, Kritagyana. Their intelligence is lost, is taken away by their forceful desire. Kama refers to intense desires. Intense desires. Because of intense desires, there is no time. Just like people, like in big cities of the world, in places like in America, people have no time. Literally, they have no time. They're always walking here, there for money and making. That's all. That is their life. No time to think about what is reality, what is going on in life. Nothing. That's all. We live, we earn money, we enjoy, we die. That's all. So if we see people, materialistic people in this own world living like that, then naturally everywhere it will be like that. These are just more pious versions of that. That's all. Okay. Purport to 11. one can attain direct contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full Krishna consciousness and revive one's eternal relationship with Him as lover, as Supreme Soul, as son, as friend, or as master. The reference is to this 3.25.38. One can re-establish the transcendental loving relationship with the Supreme Lord in so many ways. And that feeling is true oneness. The oneness of, this is Priti Aikya. This is oneness out of intense affection. The oneness of the Mayavadi philosophers and the oneness of Vaishnava philosophers are different. The Mayavadi and Vaishnava philosophers both want to merge into the Supreme, but the Vaishnavas do not lose their identities. They want to keep the identity of lover, parent, friend, or servant. In the transcendental world, the servant and master are one. That is the absolute platform. They're one means that they're one in purpose, one in interest. Just take, for instance, the case of a master-servant relationship, even in the modern world, where both of them absolutely trust each other and both of them are satisfied to live the whole life like that. So if some third-party person wants to steal some money from the master and he wants to instigate the servant to do that stealing act and says, I'll give you good commission, then the servant will say, no, how can I steal from myself? He will not accept that idea because he identifies with the interest of his master. So like that, although the relationship, that is the absolute platform, although the relationship is servant and master, both the servant and the served stand on the same platform. That is oneness. Lord Kapila advised his mother that she did not need any indirect process. She was already situated in that direct process because the Supreme Lord had taken birth as her son. This idea is coming from Sridhar Swami. Bhagavad Upasakaha tu sakshadeva tam prapnuvanti na tu kramena. Those who are engaged in worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they directly attain Him. They do not go through various gradual stages and then become prepared and then finally attain Him. Atastam sakshat tameva bhaja. So you should directly engage in the direct process. Lord Kapila advised his mother that she did not need any indirect process. She was already situated in that direct process because the Supreme Lord had taken birth as her son. Actually, she did not need any further instruction because she was already in the perfectional stage. Kapila Deva advised her to continue in the same way. He therefore addressed his mother as Bhamini to indicate that she was already thinking of the Lord as her son. Devahuti is advised by Lord Kapila to take directly to devotion service Krishna consciousness because without that consciousness one cannot become liberated from the clutches of Maya. 12 to 15 is one cluster here. आद्यस्तिरच्चराणां यो वेदगर्भसहर्षिभिः योगेश्वरैः कुमाराद्यैः सिद्धैर्योगप्रवर्तकैः भेददृष्ट्याभिमानेन निस्सङ्गेनापि कर्मणा कर्तृत्वात् स गुणं ब्रह्म पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभं स संसृत्य पुनः काले कालेनेश्वरमूर्तिना जाते गुणं व्यतिकरे यथा पूर्वं प्रजायते ऐश्वर्यं पारमेष्ठ्यं च तेपि धर्मं विनिर्मितं निषेव्य पुनरायान्ति गुणं व्यतिकरे सति. My dear mother, someone may worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a special self-interest, but even demigods such as Lord Brahma, great sages such as Sanat Kumara, and great munis such as Marichi have to come back to the material world again at the time of creation. When the interaction of the three modes of material nature begins, Brahma, who is the creator of this cosmic manifestation and is full of Vedic knowledge, and the great sages who are the authors of the spiritual path and the yoga system come back under the influence of the time factor. They are liberated by their non-fruitive activities and attain the first incarnation of the Purusha, but at the time of creation, they come back in exactly the same forms and positions they previously had. Darshini, Anu Brahma Mukto Bhaved Athacha Swabhaktan Mochayitum Na Ishtaha iti Katham Pratimah Tatra मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते इति भगवत् प्रतिज्ञा श्रुतेः भक्तिं विना ब्रह्मा अपि संसरति के पुनरन्ये वराका. Objection. Brahma gets liberated, but he is not capable of liberating those who are his devotees. How are we supposed to believe this? The Supreme Personality of Godhead has promised in Bhagavad Gita 7.15, those who surrender unto me, they will certainly cross over Maya. And because of that statement, it is understood that even Brahma continues in the cycle of birth and rebirth. So what to speak of other wretched souls? That is the answer to that objection. All of that is conveyed from text 12. Adhyah sthiracharana srishtatvat karana rupopi vedagarbha sarva vedavidapi ऋषिभिर मरीच्यादिभिरपि सह योगिभिः साधकैः सहेति किं वक्तव्यं योगेश्वरैः सिद्धैरपि सह. Brahma is the first of the moving and non-moving creatures, because he himself has been created. So even that Brahma, despite being the original cause within the material world, and he is Vedagarbha, which means he knows everything about. He knows he knows about the Vedas completely. So then you have the other sages, Marichi and others. Then you have yogis. These are very powerful sadhakas. Then you have yogeshwaras, those who have attained perfection in the yogic pathway. So all these people, they have to come back to the material world again at the time of creation. भेद दृष्टिया यथा रुद्रः संहरति विष्णुः पालयति तथा अहमपि ब्रह्मा सृजामि इति भगवतः सकाशात् भेद दृष्टिया यो अभिमानः तेन यत् कर्तृत्वं तस्मात् सगुणं कल्याण गुणमयं ब्रह्मा मत् स्रष्टारं काले महाप्रलय काले प्रविश्य पुनः कालेन गुणं व्यतिकरे महत्त्वादो जाते सति यथा पूर्वं प्रजायते ब्रह्मा भवति इति अर्थः. Because of a separatist vision, Brahma comes back to the material world. What is the separate vision? The separate vision is Rudra engages in the activity of dissolution. Vishnu engages in the activity of protection. Like that, I, Brahma, also engage in the activity of creation. So when this Brahma cultivates such a separatist attitude from the Supreme Lord, then now he is becoming what is called the doer. And because of that, he enters into the creator of the Mahatattva, the great creator. At the time of the final dissolution. And by the force of time, the modes of material nature get agitated. Mahatattva and so on are created. This is at the end of dissolution. So at that time, Brahma continues. He is reborn within the material world. Te pita sanginaha maharshi adaya api karma jnana yogadi vinirmita. What is this? Mahima? Prasangino maharshi adayopi karma jnana yogadi vinirmita manima vinirmitam animadya aishwaryadikam tam. Aishwaryadikam Puru Mahakalpa eva nishevya Punar Mahakalpa arambhe ayanti avartante. And the associates of Lord Brahma, such as the great sages, in the previous Mahakalpa, they have already experienced the various opulences and so on, produced by yogic perfection, brought about by karma, jnana, yoga, and so on. So that at the beginning of a fresh Mahakalpa, they come back. ननु योगेश्वराणां सनत कुमारादीनां च सिद्धानां अन्येषां च योग प्रवर्तकत्वेन सर्वज्ञादि गुरूणां च कथं भेद दृष्टिः अभिमानो वा संभवेत् ताभ्यां स्ताभ्यां कथं योगेश्वर आदित्वम्. Question. But then if you consider the situation of Yogeshwaras, the great masters of the yoga system like Sanat Kumar, who are actually perfect. So you have great yogi, the ones who have perfected their existence through the yoga system. And then you have others who are known as teachers of the yoga system. These are said to be all-knowing gurus. Where is the possibility that they could be having a separate vision or a separate attitude of pride? Because for those who have such separatist visions or such an egoistic attitude, they would not be Yogeshwaras, they would not be masters of yoga, they would not be perfect in yoga, and so on. Uchate. The answer is as follows. Tesham nirabhimananam nirupeda brahma anusandhanam astyeva. For those who do not have such egoistic attitude, the pursuit of the undifferentiated Brahman is certainly there in them. Kintu bheda vyudase Bhagavati api maya shavrita brahmatva buddhya maika vastu antaravad bheda drishti tatha vayam brahmano bhavinaha sakaram rupam nishidhyama iti abhimanah च ताभ्यामेव दोषाभ्याम यत् कर्तृत्वं कर्माधिकारः तस्मात् आवृत्तिः इति एतच्च क्वाचित्क ब्रह्माण्डावर्ति ब्राह्मण योगी ज्ञानी कुमारादीनाम् अभक्त.
You hear me? Haribol.
Yes, Prabhu. Lord, yes.
Okay. See, this group of great sages, yogis, and so on, they think that even the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually a product of Maya. He is a material version of Brahman, like other products of Maya. So in this way, they have a separate vision. Apart from that, they also have an egoistic pride.
We are direct experiencers of the impersonal Brahman. So we do not engage in worship of the personalistic form of Brahman in the form of Narayana. So because of these two faults, because they have this separatist vision and because they have this egoistic pride, they have a sense of doership, which means that they are fit to engage in material duties, because of which they have to come back. So this refers to a situation where sometimes in some Brahmandas, you have Brahma, the Brahmanas, the yogis, jnanis, kumaras, and so on as non-devotees. Tatanya sarva brahmandavartinam brahmadinam tesham tu bhaktimatvat mukti prema bhakti bhagavad dasyadi bhava praptayah yatha yatham bhakti tartamya jnaya. But then in all the other brahmandas, Brahma, the Brahmanas, the yogis, the jnanis, the kumaras, and so on, they are devotees. And therefore, according to the proportion of their Vishnu Bhakti, they would attain liberation, they would attain Prema Bhakti, they would attain Prema Bhakti in the attitudes of Dasya, Sakhi, and so on, towards the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. And that is factual. That Brahma becomes liberated is known to everyone, but he cannot liberate his devotees. Demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot give liberation to any living entity. As it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, only one who surrenders unto Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can be liberated from the clutches of Maya. Brahma is called here Adyasthir Charanam. He is the original first created living entity. And after his own birth, he creates the entire cosmic manifestation. He was fully instructed in the matter of creation by the Supreme Lord. Here he is called Vedagarbha, which means that he knows the complete purpose of the Vedas. He is always accompanied by such great personalities as Marichi, Kashyapa, and the seven sages, as well as by great mystic yogis, the Kumaras, and many other spiritually advanced living entities. But he has his own interest, separate from the Lord's. Vedatrishtiya means that Brahma sometimes thinks that he is independent of the Supreme Lord or thinks of himself as one of the three equally independent incarnations. Brahma is interested with creation. Vishnu maintains, and Rudra, Lord Shiva, destroys. Three of them are understood to be incarnations of the Supreme Lord in charge of the three different material modes of nature, but none of them is independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here the word Vedadrishtya occurs because Brahma has a slight inclination to think that he is as independent as Rudra. Sometimes Brahma thinks that he is independent of the Supreme Lord. The worshipper also thinks that Brahma is independent. For this reason, after the destruction of this material world, when there is again creation by the interaction of the material modes of nature, Brahma comes back. Although Brahma reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, who is full with transcendental qualities, he cannot stay in the spiritual world. The specific significance of his coming back will be noted. Brahma and the great rishis and the great masters of yoga and the great master of yoga Shiva are not ordinary living entities. They are very powerful and have all the perfections of mystic yoga, but still they have an inclination to try to become one with the Supreme, and therefore they have to come back. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is accepted that as long as one thinks he is equal with the Supreme Personality of God, he is not completely purified or knowledgeable. In spite of going up to the first Purusha Avatar Mahavishnu, after the dissolution of this material creation, such personalities again fall down or come back to the material creation. It's a great fall down on the part of the impersonalists to think that the Supreme Lord appears within a material body and that one should therefore not meditate upon the form of the Supreme, but should meditate instead on the form less. For this particular mistake, even the great mystic yogis or great scaled word transcendentalists also come back again when there is creation. All living entities other than the impersonalists and monists can directly take to devotional service in full Krishna consciousness and become liberated by developing transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of God. Such devotion service develops in the degrees of thinking of the Supreme Lord as Master, as friend, as son, and at last as lover. These distinctions in transcendental variegatedness must always be present. Okay, question. There was some question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, here in purport it's written that sometimes Brahma thinks that he is as powerful as Rudra. Also, so is it like as independent as Rudra? So is Rudra more independent than Brahma?
Yes. Lord Shiva is a direct expansion of Narayana, who has accepted the touch of Prakriti as a pastime. Leelaya Svikrita Maya Sparshaka. This is how Vishnu Chakravarti explains in Madhurya Kadambini. Whereas Narayana does not even accept the touch of material nature. So that is the distinction between Narayana and Shiva.
So, but that Shiva is Sadashiva, no? And here
Yeah, that's
Rudra is,
Shiva, correct. That's correct.
but here the description of the Trinity, the three gods is there, no? So is it not about the Rudra who gets born from Brahmaji?
It's okay. It's not that every Shiva who's born from Brahma is Shakti Avesham person. He could be the original Shiva also as a pastime.
Okay. But we like once you told that he is a Jiva Tattva, the Rudra who takes birth
No,
from.
there are Rudra Padavis here. There are Rudra Padavis here. Definitely. They are Jivas. But that doesn't mean that every time we come across a discussion about Rudra or Shiva, we are talking about these living entities.
Yes. So when Lord Sadashiva comes as son of Brahma, then or the Trinity, then he is more independent. Basically, we can say.
Yeah. But even then, Adi Shiva himself is a devotee of Lord Vishnu. That must be clearly understood.
Prabhu, so this inclination to try to become one with Lord, I was actually connecting this with purport to verse number 6, where Prabhupada was writing that everyone in this material world has a sense of overlordship. This sense of overlordship, how it develops, because initially I came to serve the Lord, although with a desire to have my personal space, but their desire to serve was there. So how it got converted into desire to become one with him or sense of overlordship?
The living entity always has the choice to serve the Lord or to imitate the Lord. So it's always possible. Okay, Somapati Prabhu.
Prabhu, in Bhagavad Gita only we find that Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they cannot give liberation. But when we see the other Puranas like Shiva Puran and Devi Puran, they accept them as the Supreme Personality and they can give liberation to them. So that is why they stick to these personalities. So then how they will come to the Lord?
When they become qualified, at that time Brahma and Shiva will act as Vaishnava gurus to them. Then at that time they will guide them to surrender to Lord Vishnu.
If they cannot liberate them, then why Vasudev mentioned that they can give also liberation?
Liberation also has another meaning, liberation from sinful reactions. So there are various ways by which Vyasadeva communicates to these tamasic souls to give them faith.
Oh, yes, bro.
All right, okay, we'll stop with that. Vanchana Putra Vishnu Vasantam Hivacha Patitanam Pavan Pyo Vishnu Namo Namaha